Dear friends, today I want to speak to the heart that has quietly endured too much, to the spirit that has given and given, even when it was met with disregard. There comes a moment in every life when we must rise and say, no more. No more tolerating the disrespect, the neglect, the quiet diminishment of our worth. You are a soul of fire, a being of infinite value, and the world does not have the right to dull your light. If you have been bending, shrinking, or excusing what you do not deserve, let this be the moment you stand tall. Lift your voice and claim the respect, love, and peace that have always been your due. There is a quiet power in knowing your worth. It is not something the world can give you, nor something the world can take away. It lives deep within you, a flame that refuses to be dimmed by the harsh winds of criticism, neglect, or indifference. Every human being deserves respect, love, and dignity. Yet too often we are led to believe that we must beg for it, bargain for it, or quietly endure the absence of it. But the truth is that your value is not negotiable. It is not measured by the approval of those who fail to see your brilliance, nor diminished by the ignorance of those who cannot appreciate your soul. When you embrace this truth, you begin to step into a life that mirrors the depth of your spirit rather than the shallow expectations of others. It is easy to forget this when the world whispers lies into our ears. You are asking too much. You are too sensitive. You should be grateful for what little you have. But these whispers are not reflections of your worth. They are shadows cast by fear and insecurity. To honor yourself is to recognize that tolerance has limits and that respect cannot be optional. Every time you allow yourself to be diminished, you give permission for the world to treat you as though your essence is negotiable. Every compromise of dignity chips away at the foundation of your spirit, and yet it takes courage to see it, name it, and refuse it. Courage is the heartbeat of self-respect, and it is the path through which your worth becomes visible to the world, not as a plea, but as a declaration. The journey toward claiming your worth is not always easy. It may demand difficult conversations. It may ask you to walk away from those you have loved, and it may require patience with yourself as you relearn what you truly deserve. But every step toward honoring your spirit is a step into freedom. Freedom from the chains of expectation, from the weight of silence, from the exhaustion of pleasing those who cannot see your value. It is in this freedom that you find your voice, your strength, and the unwavering knowledge that your life, your love, and your time are treasures not to be bartered or diminished. Do not allow the fear of losing what is unworthy to keep you from claiming what is rightfully yours. Respect, love, and dignity are not luxuries. They are the air in which your soul breathes. To settle for less is to deny the beauty of your existence, and to allow the world to define you in terms smaller than your truth. Stand tall, speak clearly, and hold steadfast to the reality that you are enough, exactly as you are. Your worth is the compass that guides your choices, the anchor that steadies your heart, and the light that illuminates your path. When you refuse to tolerate anything less than what you deserve, you do not merely protect yourself. You inspire the world to honor its own potential for greatness, and you remind every listening soul that dignity is never optional and respect is never earned by silence. There is a quiet strength in the word no. It is not harsh, nor is it unkind. It is the gentle yet unshakable voice of a spirit that knows its own value. Setting boundaries is not an act of rejection toward others. It is an act of profound acceptance toward yourself. It is the recognition that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious, and that they cannot be poured endlessly into spaces that drain rather than nurture. To honor yourself in this way is to declare to the world that your existence is sacred, and that those who cannot respect that sacredness need not dictate the terms of your life. Too often, we are taught that love is synonymous with endless giving, that generosity requires sacrifice, and that kindness is measured by how much we endure. But true love, love for yourself, first and foremost, is never cruel, and it is never compromising. When you draw the line, when you say enough to what diminishes you, you are not shutting the door. You are opening it to clarity, to peace, and to the life you are meant to live. Boundaries are the gentle fences that keep the weeds of negativity from overtaking the garden of your soul, allowing your spirit to grow, flourish, and breathe without suffocation. It can be difficult to believe that saying no is courageous, especially when the world applauds compliance and punishes assertion. The fear of disappointing others, of being misunderstood, or of losing connection can make the act of drawing a line feel almost impossible. Yet courage is born not from confrontation, but from clarity. It is born from the unwavering recognition that to honor your own needs is to honor the truth of your existence. Every time you hold firm to a boundary, you strengthen the muscle of self-respect, and with each repetition, it becomes easier to see that your happiness is not negotiable, nor is your dignity something to be bartered for approval. Boundaries also teach those around you how to treat you, not with fear, but with understanding and respect. When you define what is acceptable and what is not, you illuminate the path for others to engage with you in honesty and love. You model the courage to be fully yourself without apology. And in doing so, you invite the world to rise to meet you at the level of your truth. It is not always easy, and it may unsettle those accustomed to taking without regard. But the discomfort of assertion is far less painful than the quiet erosion of your soul. Remember, to set a boundary is not to close your heart, it is to safeguard it. It is a declaration that your spirit matters, that your time matters, and that the energy you give is a gift, not a right. When you protect your inner world with clear, gentle lines, you cultivate a space where love, joy, and peace can enter freely. Every boundary drawn in self-respect is a step toward freedom, a step toward wholeness, and a step into the life you were always meant to claim. In learning to say no without guilt, you learn to say yes to yourself in ways that echo through every corner of your existence. There is wisdom in noticing the small cracks before they become chasms. Life whispers to us through subtle signs, through the tone of a word, the weight of silence, the way our spirit feels when we are around certain people. Toxicity rarely arrives with banners or fanfare. It is quiet, creeping, like shadows that stretch long before the sun fully sets. To recognize it early is to honor yourself, to refuse to allow seeds of neglect, manipulation, or disrespect to take root and grow into thorns that pierce the heart again and again. Your spirit is not meant to be tested endlessly, nor to carry burdens that were never yours to bear. Listen closely, for the first signs are often the loudest messages of what you must not tolerate. It is easy to overlook the whispers of your soul when the world teaches us to prioritize tolerance above discernment. Be patient, it says. Give more. Forgive. And while compassion is a virtue, discernment is a necessity. There is a difference between love that grows through care and love that erodes through neglect. A word that diminishes, a glance that dismisses, a pattern that leaves you questioning your own worth. These are not accidents, nor are they tests of your generosity. They are indicators that your energy is being misused and your boundaries are being ignored. The courage to see these signs clearly is the courage to protect your own heart, even when it requires uncomfortable truth. Toxicity can disguise itself as familiarity, as charm, as tradition. It can appear in the words of someone you love, in the habits of a workplace, or in the silent demands of a friendship that has long lost its reciprocity. The danger is that it makes you question yourself as if the fault were yours for feeling pain or disappointment. But the truth is simple. You are not at fault for recognizing your own discomfort, and you are not weak for choosing to step away. To recognize toxicity early is to act as a guardian of your own life, to refuse to allow erosion where there could be growth, and to affirm that your heart deserves spaces where it is cherished, not tested endlessly. The moment you learn to trust your instincts, to see the patterns before they fully take hold, you gain freedom. Freedom from repetitive heartache, from the exhaustion of defending your worth, from the silent accumulation of resentment and sorrow. Your mind becomes clear, your heart more confident, and your spirit more resilient. You begin to attract people, experiences, and opportunities that honor the dignity you have always carried. It is not merely an act of self-preservation, it is an act of self-respect, a statement to the world that your presence will not be wasted and your life will not be diminished by what you do not deserve. Remember, every step away from toxicity is a step toward clarity, strength, and peace. The sooner you see it, the sooner you can release it, and the sooner you can allow the spaces of your life to be filled with love, joy, and authenticity. The eyes that recognize deception, the heart that senses imbalance, the spirit that refuses compromise, all of these are gifts. They are reminders that your life is yours to protect, and that the people and energies you allow near you should always elevate, never diminish, the beauty of who you are. There is a danger in quiet endurance that few of us recognize. When we hold our tongues in the face of harm, when we swallow our hurt and nod along to what diminishes us, we do not preserve peace, we grant permission. We give space for the disrespect, the neglect, and the disregard to continue unchecked. Silence, though often dressed in patience or humility, can become a silent accomplice to our own suffering. Each unspoken word, each withheld truth, allows those who would disregard us to believe that their actions are acceptable, that the boundaries of our spirit are negotiable, and that our hearts are open to injury without consequence. Many of us fear confrontation, as if speaking up will create chaos, sever ties, or bring discomfort. Yet it is often in the very act of voicing our truth that the world begins to see the strength of our souls. To speak is not to attack, but to assert that our presence is not to be taken lightly. Every word of clarity, every gentle insistence on respect, every refusal to tolerate diminishment becomes a thread in the fabric of our dignity. Silence, in contrast, is not neutral. It is an absence of defense, a surrender of the power that is already ours. When we remain quiet, the world interprets it as consent, and the very energies that should nurture us instead take root in permission. To break this cycle requires courage, a courage that begins within. It begins with the acknowledgement that your feelings are valid, that your boundaries matter, and that the preservation of your spirit is not optional. The act of speaking up may be uncomfortable. It may shake familiar relationships, and it may reveal truths that others would rather remain hidden. Yet, in each spoken word, there is liberation. In each declaration of self-respect, there is a reclaiming of power. When we protect our peace with voice and action, we teach the world how to honor us, and we remind ourselves that no one has the right to erode our dignity while we stand silently. Disrespect thrives in shadow. It flourishes where voices are stifled and where grievances are swallowed. But the human spirit, when awakened to its own value, refuses to be silenced. Speaking out does not always change others, but it always changes us. It affirms that we matter, that our lives matter, and that our hearts are not to be treated as expendable. Each time we choose articulation over acquiescence, we send a ripple through the world, a message that our integrity is not for sale, that our boundaries are not suggestions, and that our peace is sacred. Remember, silence is not strength. True strength is knowing when to speak, when to assert, and when to act in protection of the soul that beats fiercely within you. Disrespect can only continue where it is unchallenged, but courage and clarity create a force too powerful to ignore. Let your words, your actions, and your presence reflect the truth that you will no longer tolerate diminishment. Let the world see that your silence is no longer a shield for harm, but a choice made consciously, freely, and only in spaces that honor the greatness of your spirit. There is a weight that many of us carry quietly, a burden that sits on the chest like invisible chains, whispering that our self-respect is selfish, that our boundaries are wrong, that our refusal to tolerate harm is a sin against love. This weight is guilt, and it is a shadow cast not by the world, but by the distorted belief that giving too much of ourselves is a virtue, and saying enough is a crime. But refusing to tolerate abuse or injustice is not selfish. It is wisdom. It is the clarity of a spirit that has learned to honor its own value, the courage of a heart that refuses to be diminished, and the quiet strength of a soul that knows it deserves safety, dignity, and peace. We are taught too often that love requires sacrifice of self, that kindness demands endurance of insult, and that loyalty means bending until we break. Yet true love, love that is sacred and enduring, does not thrive on diminishment. It cannot flourish where guilt is planted, nor can it grow where the heart is burdened with unnecessary blame. To let go of guilt is to reclaim the space within ourselves that has been reserved for self-doubt, for apologies we do not owe, and for concessions that compromise our essence. Each step away from guilt is a step toward freedom, a step into the recognition that honoring your spirit is not only acceptable, but necessary for a life of integrity and joy. Guilt often disguises itself as care for others. It whispers that to protect yourself is to abandon someone else, that to speak truth is to betray a relationship, and that to act in your own interest is to become unkind. But the truth is that harm left unchallenged harms not only the heart, but the soul. Each moment spent excusing what diminishes you is a moment stolen from your own growth and peace. By releasing guilt, you no longer act from fear of judgment or shame, but from clarity and wisdom. You no longer carry the invisible chains of responsibility for other people's inability to honor you. Instead, you stand firmly in the truth that your needs, your boundaries, and your dignity are sacred and non-negotiable. Letting go of guilt does not come easily. It may bring discomfort because old patterns of self-blame and appeasement are deeply ingrained. It may unsettle those who have benefited from your silence or compromise. Yet, each act of courage strengthens the spine of your soul. Each refusal to carry unearned blame becomes a declaration of self-respect, and each boundary honored is a celebration of the life you are meant to live. When guilt no longer governs your choices, you can move freely, love fully, and act without the shadow of unnecessary apology. Remember, wisdom is not measured by how much you give, but by how well you protect the light within yourself. To refuse what diminishes you is to act with clarity, strength, and grace. To release guilt is to allow your heart to breathe, to reclaim your power, and to step into a life that aligns with your true worth. Every choice to honor yourself, free from guilt, is a triumph, a song of liberation, and a reminder that your spirit is not to be compromised, but cherished, nurtured, and respected. There is a force within you that is too precious to waste. It is the energy of your spirit, the light that guides your thoughts, the rhythm of your heart, and the fire that fuels your dreams. Too often, we give this energy freely to those who do not see it, who take without gratitude, or who diminish it with indifference. But your energy is sacred. It is not meant to be poured into vessels that cannot hold it, nor is it a currency to be spent on those who would squander it. Each choice of where and to whom you give your attention, your love, and your care shapes the quality of your life and the depth of your joy. Protect it as you would the rarest gem, for it is the essence of who you are. We are taught to be generous, to serve without expectation, and to endure without complaint. Yet generosity without discernment can become a form of self-erasure. When your energy is consumed by people or situations that drain rather than nourish, you begin to lose sight of yourself. You become a shadow of your own potential, and the vibrant essence that was meant to illuminate your world dims under the weight of misplaced devotion. Recognizing the sacredness of your energy is the first step toward reclaiming the life that belongs fully to you, a life where your presence is honored, your spirit celebrated, and your contributions valued. It takes courage to choose carefully where your energy flows. The world may call it selfish, unkind, or even harsh to withdraw from those who take more than they give. Yet, there is nothing unkind in guarding the vitality of your soul. Every moment spent giving to those who cannot appreciate or reciprocate is a moment stolen from the people, experiences, and dreams that could truly uplift you. When you understand that your energy is sacred, you begin to see that it is a gift meant to be shared wisely with those who lift, inspire, and cherish your presence. This wisdom allows you to build relationships and engage in pursuits that amplify your life rather than diminish it. Your energy is also a reflection of self-respect. To honor it is to honor yourself, to recognize that your time, attention, and emotions are not infinite, and that they deserve protection. Saying no to the demands of those who drain you is not cruelty, it is courage. Choosing to walk away from what depletes your spirit is not abandonment, it is liberation. In guarding your energy, you create a space for growth, for joy, and for peace. You allow your light to shine without interference, and you send a message to the world that you will not be diminished, tolerated, or overlooked. Remember, every action, every relationship, every investment of your energy shapes the life you live. To treat your energy as sacred is to treat yourself as sacred. It is a promise to nurture your own soul first, so that what you offer to the world comes from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. When you protect your energy, you honor your worth, strengthen your spirit, and create a life that is vibrant, joyful, and fully your own. Let no one dim the brilliance that is uniquely yours, for your energy is sacred and the world needs its full light. There is a quiet battle that every heart must face, a choice between the familiar weight of discomfort and the uncertain path of courage. Comfort, in its many forms, tempts us with the ease of routine, the safety of what we have always known, and the false security of endurance. Yet, when that comfort comes at the cost of our dignity, our peace, or our self-respect, it is no longer comfort. It is captivity. Remaining in what diminishes us may feel familiar, but it slowly erodes the spirit, leaving us hollow, silent, and distant from the life we were meant to claim. Courage is the bridge between the life we tolerate and the life we deserve. It is the heartbeat that urges us to step into the unknown, to leave behind what is unworthy, and to embrace the fullness of our own potential. Choosing courage over comfort is not always easy. Fear whispers that leaving may bring loss, isolation, or failure. The heart trembles at the thought of disruption, at the idea of walking away from what has become a part of our daily existence, no matter how unfulfilling. Yet fear is never a reliable guide. It is the voice of limitation, a shadow cast by the desire to cling to what is safe rather than what is right. True courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act in spite of it. It is the understanding that the life you desire, one of respect, love, and authenticity, cannot be found within the chains of toleration. Courage calls you to rise, to speak, to act, and to leave the space where your spirit is not valued. There is a profound liberation in choosing courage. Every step away from what diminishes you is a reclaiming of your self-worth. Every refusal to endure injustice or disrespect is a declaration that your soul will not be negotiated or diminished. In the quiet moments after you have acted with courage, you will feel a lightness, a sense of alignment with your own truth, and a deep knowledge that the discomfort of leaving was a small price for the preservation of your spirit. Comfort may tempt you with temporary ease, but courage offers the lasting peace that comes when your life mirrors the strength and dignity within your heart. Courage over comfort is also a gift to those around you. By standing firm in what you deserve, you show others the power of self-respect and the value of integrity. You teach that life is not meant to be a series of compromises at the expense of the soul, and that true fulfillment requires bravery, honesty, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. The choices you make in favor of courage ripple outward, inspiring those who witness them to honor their own worth, speak their truth, and reject the toleration of what diminishes them. Remember, the path of comfort may feel safe, but it is often the road to stagnation. The path of courage may be uncertain, but it leads to freedom, self respect, and a life lived fully. When you choose courage over comfort, you choose yourself, your dignity, and the bright, unshakable truth of your worth. Step forward, even if your legs tremble, speak even if your voice shakes, and act even if the world feels unsteady beneath your feet. For in courage, you find the life you were always meant to live, and the soul you were always meant to honor. There is a truth that often lies hidden beneath the weight of circumstance. The power to shape your life has always been within you. Empowerment is not given, it is claimed. It is not found in the approval of others, nor in the accolades of the world. It is born in the quiet decisions you make every day to honor yourself, to speak your truth, and to stand firm in the dignity that is your birthright. Every act of self respect, no matter how small, strengthens the foundation of your spirit. Every refusal to tolerate what diminishes you is a declaration that your life, your heart, and your soul are yours to command. To choose empowerment is to step into the sunlight of your own potential and refuse to allow the shadows of doubt or oppression to dim your brilliance. Too often we wait for permission, for opportunity, or for recognition from those who do not see the depth of our worth. We are taught that power is something external, something that must be handed to us, rather than a force that rises from within. Yet, empowerment is a choice, and it begins the moment you decide to no longer give away your voice, your time, or your spirit to those who would diminish it. Each choice to honor your boundaries, to claim your space, and to refuse compromise is a building block in the edifice of your own strength. The world may question it, resist it, or attempt to belittle it, but the truth remains. The authority over your life is yours and yours alone. Empowerment is also contagious. When you choose it, you not only lift yourself, but you illuminate a path for others to follow. The courage to stand tall in your own truth inspires those who watch, teaching that respect cannot be demanded through fear or submission, but through clarity, conviction, and the unwavering knowledge of one's own value. Each act of empowerment sets a quiet example that ripples outward, shaping the lives of those who have been waiting for permission to honor themselves. It reminds the world that dignity, self-respect, and strength are not privileges to be earned from others. They are inherent, and they are yours to claim at any moment. To choose empowerment is to embrace responsibility for your own happiness, your own peace, and your own growth. It is to reject the belief that circumstances, other people, or past wounds define your life. It is to understand that while you cannot control every situation, you can control how you respond, how you honor yourself, and how you allow your spirit to flourish. In every choice to act with integrity, to stand firm in your worth, and to protect your own heart, you are claiming the life that has always been yours to live.